So in the earlier lecture today, we saw that a wave can propagate through a waveguide which has got rectangular cross section. So I say that this cross section is like this, and this is infinitely long, and I say that this direction is x and this direction is y, and I say that height of the waveguide is a and width of the waveguide is b and it is z along this direction. Okay. So we had seen in detail that how the waves would propagate, and we had seen that in this case the lowest there will be a cutoff frequency, and that cutoff frequency is decided by the wave number along the each dimension. Now we will go to resonators. Any waveguide along the direction of propagation, generally we consider that waveguides are infinite in length along the direction of propagation. But if you truncate the same waveguide, if suppose I truncate it here, okay, now this becomes a cavity. It becomes a rectangular cavity. Now these rectangular cavities can be used as resonators. Okay, so these rectangular cavities can be used as resonators, and we all have read widely about resonators. Resonators are not something very new. So here, so today we will go to resonators. So the question is, when there are resonators, we have seen LC type resonators, LCR type resonators. So when the resonators were already there, we can design resonator by choosing appropriate value of L and C at any frequency, isn't it? So when there were these resonators were already there, technology was well optimized, then why was the need for designing or introducing a new term called cavity resonator? These cavity resonators are generally made by truncating a waveguide. If you truncate, that is you break a waveguide, don't keep it infinitely long and close one end, then it becomes a cavity resonator. Okay. So the reasons are, first thing what resonators would do, resonators basically store energy in the oscillating electric and magnetic field. Okay. What resonators would do, resonators are devices to store electrical or magnetic energy or both the energies. You can store both of them. Okay. So I will write down here. So they store energy from oscillating electric and magnetic field. So you can realize, so now why is the need, why cavity resonators? So question is, why cavity resonators? So as we go higher and higher in frequency, as we go at very high frequency, the wavelength starts to decrease. Is it, you all agree with me? As the frequency goes up, that is the frequency becomes larger and larger, the wavelength becomes smaller and smaller. Okay. So if suppose I have a circuit at 50 hertz, 50 hertz is the normal AC cycle that we use in our house, in your university, everywhere you use 50 hertz AC cycle. Okay. So if suppose I have a wave at 50 hertz, electromagnetic wave at 50 hertz, then what would be the corresponding wavelength? I have a AC in alternating current, it has got frequency 50 hertz. So there should be a wavelength associated with this frequency. What would be that wavelength? Can you tell me? 6 into 10 to the power 6 meters, or I would call 6000 kilometers. Okay, 6000 kilometers. So this is what is when we are everything, all electrical wiring, everything, whatever circuits you see or small resonators in your radios, in your tuning devices, they all are at this wavelength. Okay, but if suppose I go to frequency say 500 megahertz, then what happens to this wavelength? Let them calculate. 6 what? 0.6 meters. बताइए इतना टाइम क्यों लग रहा है? 3 into 10 to the power 8 divided by 5 into 10 to the power 8, isn't it? So this is 0.6 meters. So am I really concerned about this vast difference in the wavelength? How am I bothered what the wavelength is? As far as I get the frequency, I am happy. But there is actually a big problem, because when I design my circuit at 50 hertz, okay, I can never design a circuit which is more than 6000 kilometers. Have you ever seen a circuit, one circuit which is more than 6000 kilometers of length? I have never seen. If you have seen, you can tell me. I mean, even the biggest circuit on earth at 50 hertz will not be 6000 kilometers. But I can definitely make a circuit which is more than 60 centimeters long. I can definitely make a circuit which is more than 60 centimeters long. A big circuit in a big device in a big system could be more than 60 centimeters. Okay. So where is the problem? See, if I have a circuit, okay, and I am at 50 hertz, and this is the input port and this is the output port. So now the wave travels, and if this length is less than lambda, the wave wouldn't have completed one cycle, isn't it? But if this length is more than lambda, if this length is greater than lambda, then probably the wave would have completed one cycle and it would have moved forward. And always remember that after one cycle, a phase change can creep into the travelling wave. There can be a phase difference after one cycle. Okay. So longer the circuit, I mean, if your circuit is 2 lambda long, then you can assume that at least twice phase difference would creep into your wave. So what would happen? The input wave and output wave will be different. There will be a phase change and the response would be completely different, and you might not know, you might not understand that why this difference has come. Okay. So if I am at 50 hertz, by all means I can ensure that my circuit size would never exceed 6000 kilometers. Okay. But when I go to higher and higher frequencies, okay, my circuit size can be larger than 0.6 meters. If I go at 5 gigahertz, this will become even smaller, it will become 0.006 meters. So that is very small. So it means now my circuit size is becoming, I mean the dimension that I require is becoming smaller and smaller. And we know that all our circuits, all the inductance, resistance and capacitance, they are lumped. That is, they cannot work at such high frequency, because suppose at 5 gigahertz, size of an inductor would be more than the wavelength. Size of an inductor would be more than a size of the wavelength would be more than the dimension of the wavelength. So what you are going to do? So it means now we need completely a different technology at high frequency to take care of these dimension related issues. We need circuit elements which are much smaller than the wavelength. So I know I cannot design a lumped inductor, जो भी आप लोग use करते हैं labs में, the inductors, resistors, capacitors, whatever you use in your labs, in your network theory lab, all of them are lumped element, they are all called lumped elements. Okay. So I cannot find a lumped element which is 1 millimeter long. You can never find. You can never find a capacitor or resistor which is just 1 millimeter or say half a millimeter. So it means there is a requirement for a new technology, and these cavity resonators, cavity type resonators can actually give you frequencies well above few megahertz, and you don't actually require a lumped circuit or lumped circuit elements to design such cavity resonators. Okay. So we will start with conventional cavity resonators. Shruti, is there a problem? Puchiye. No, see, it is like this. No, L should be greater than lambda. That's right. It should be comparable to the size of the wavelength. Okay. So I mean, what I mean to say here is I cannot find a inductor which is less than 1 millimeter, because at 5 gigahertz I am almost at 0.6 mm. Okay. So I cannot find an inductor which is less than a millimeter. Okay. So it means I need something new, some new method to make resonators at very high frequencies, and I know, we all know that resonators are basic backbone for filters, for oscillators, for phase shifters, for everything that you do, you need resonators as the basic building block. Okay. So now we will go from the conventional resonators, RLC type resonator, we will first analyze them, and then we will go to cavity type resonators. So a resonator could be either series or parallel. A resonator, you can have a series RLC circuit or a parallel RLC circuit, you can have anything. So we will start with series RLC circuit, and I will leave parallel RLC circuit for you to do on your own. So let us suppose that I have a voltage source and this is connected to a circuit which looks like this. This is R, this is L, this is C, and this is V, and from here, when I look from this terminal, what I see is the input impedance of the circuit. Okay? Is it okay? Now can I write an expression for input impedance? So because they are series circuits, so it is pretty straightforward. I can say if this is at omega frequency, incoming wave is at omega, then j omega L minus j upon, or you can write I also, I upon omega C. ठीक है? Is it okay? Okay. Now the power dissipated by the resistor, see, L and C are storing device. L will store magnetic energy and C will store electrical energy. So they are storing devices, so they might not dissipate too much of energy, but R would definitely dissipate energy, and that dissipation is P loss. Okay, and this P loss should be equal to 1 by 2 I squared R. Okay, this should be equal to 1 by 2 I squared R. We are taking an average, we are averaging it out. Okay, so this is P loss is 1 by 2 I squared R, and I can say that energy stored in the electrical energy stored in the circuit would be half C into Vc square, half Cv square hota hai. Okay, so I will say average energy stored per cycle will be 1 by 4 C into Vc square. Okay, and what would be the voltage drop across this capacitance? Would be the current, it will depend upon the incoming current and the impedance offered by this capacitor to the current. Okay, so what would be Vc I into Zc? So what is ZC? It would be mod of I square upon omega square C square. ठीक है ये? So I will cancel the C out here. So I have electrical energy stored is equal to 1 by 4 mod of I square upon omega square C. And similarly, magnetic energy stored would be equal to what? I into ZL. Okay, half Li square. So this is half L mod of I square. So from here I can write that I or input power P input should be equal to mod of I square into Zn. Input power should be equal to mod of I square into Zn. Okay. So from here I can write that P in is equal to P loss, because you can see here I will remove this mod sign. I square R plus j omega L minus I upon j omega C. Okay. So now I will say that average power given to this circuit per cycle would be divided by 2. Average power given to this circuit per cycle will be 1 by 2. Okay. So now I will say that I can say here that average power is equal to 1 by 2 I square into R. P loss is also half I squared R. We are always considering average power because I know it is an alternating cycle. Okay. In half cycle it is positive, in half cycle it is negative. So I will have to consider average power that is being transferred from by the input source to the load circuit. Now load could be anything. Okay. So now I can write from here that this is equal to, here we will have a 2 also. So I will have P loss plus here I have, this will be 1 by 4 average. Okay. So I will have P loss plus 2. Now here if I take j omega common, then what I would get? Sorry, this is I omega. So if I take 2 I omega common, then I have I square L, I omega common, then I have I square L by 2 minus I will have 1 upon ओमेगा स्क्वायर C. ठीक है, ये बताइए. So now I can write that this is, now you see here omega E is I square upon omega, here you will have an I square also. So here you have I square upon omega square C, but here there is a factor of 1 by 4, but here you have a factor of 1 by 2. Okay, is there a confusion? Let us start from here again. See, average power given by this source to the input circuit per cycle is 1 by 2 I square into input impedance. That is equal to I square by 2 R plus j omega I omega L minus I over omega C. Okay. Now I can write, this is input power. This input power is distributed among the resistor, inductor and capacitor, and I know that in the resistor there will be loss. So the total input power, average input power given by this source to this circuit should be equal to the power that is being used by this and this. Whether it is dissipated or stored, I don't care. But the sum of all these powers should be equal to the average P in. Okay, so I am trying to do that only. So here I have written this is P loss, I square R by 2 is P loss, and then I take here I omega common, so I have I square L by 2. I have I square L by 2, which is equal to 2 omega 2 Wm. It is twice the magnetic energy stored in the inductor per cycle. Okay, so I can write here this is equal to P loss plus I keep I omega outside. So I here this I shouldn't have been there. So I have 2 omega m minus 2 omega e. Is it okay now? ठीक है ये? So I have here P loss plus 2 I omega m minus omega e. This is the total power given by the source per cycle to the circuit. Now resonance will occur when your magnetic energy is equal to electrical energy. This is the condition of resonance. Wm should be equal to We. Okay. So at resonance, Wm will be equal to We, right? Wm is equal to We. So what would happen? This term would go to 0. Okay, this term will go to 0. So you will see that the resistance would become purely resistive. The impedance will become purely resistive, or it will become real. The impedance will become real. Okay. So it means at resonance I have omega m is equal to omega e, and I would say that at resonance omega is equal to omega naught. Okay. So by this, from here I can say that from this condition that omega 0 L is equal to 1 upon omega 0 C by equating omega m and omega e, because resonance would occur when electrical energy is equal to the magnetic energy. So from here I get omega 0 square is equal to 1 upon LC. Okay, or I get F0 resonance frequency is equal to 1 upon 2 pi 1 upon under root LC. ठीक है? So this is the formula for a series resonance circuit. This is the resonance formula or expression for the resonant frequency of a series resonance circuit. So it means if I know L and C, I can definitely design a resonator at the frequency that I want to have. But then what about the performance? How efficient your resonant circuit is depends on a term called quality factor of the resonator, and this quality factor is equal to energy stored divided by energy loss per cycle. I think there should be an omega term here. Yeah, here there will be an omega term. Okay, energy stored per cycle divided by energy lost per cycle. Okay, energy loss per cycle is actually equal to the power loss. Okay, so I can write here, so at resonance Wm is equal to We. Okay, so the total energy stored at resonance is equal to is equal to 2 Wm or is equal to 2 We. ठीक है ये, because Wm is equal to We, so total energy is Wm plus We. So it will be either 2 Wm or 2 We. So quality factor Q is equal to omega naught at resonance 2 Wm divided by P loss. So Wm is 1 by 2 Li square. So I will have here, because here there I have, this is 1 by 4 and this 2 will get multiplied. So I will have 1 by 2 Li square. Here I will have an equal to, and then I will have 1 by 2 I square r into omega naught. So I have Q is equal to omega 0 L by r. Omega 0 L by r. Similarly, if I take here instead of Wm, if I take We, what will be Q? In that case, what will be Q in that case? बताइए. Now your omega E is 1 by 4 I square upon omega 0 square C. So I think you must get one upon omega 0 RC. So this is the quality factor. Higher the quality factor, it means better is the performance of your resonator. Okay. So this was about the conventional resonator using circuit elements. But how this concept can be translated to a cavity resonator, that is more important. Okay. So we will be dealing with only rectangular cavities. So we will start with cavity resonators. This is a truncated rectangular cavity, and I suppose that this direction is x, direction of propagation, okay, and I say that this direction is z and this direction is y. This is A, this is B, and I say this length is L. This length is L. This cavity is made from a rectangular waveguide which was actually infinitely long. Now what I do, I truncate it. Now it is L long and it has got a width which we called earlier the height A, and it has got a depth of B. Okay. Now I know that the lowest possible mode, TE mode, is 1-0 mode. Okay. Lowest possible mode in a rectangular waveguide, TE mode is 1-0 mode. Okay. So what would be the lowest possible propagation mode in a cavity resonator? What type of modes it will support? And the lowest mode is called the fundamental mode of resonance for this cavity. So remember, if the lowest possible mode is 1-0, then because now I have all the direction, so now it will be 1-0-1. It will be 1-0-1. Now this I can call this as TELMN. Okay. So what do I mean by 1-0-1? What is the meaning of this? Meaning is, now this is L direction. So along L direction, it will complete one cycle. It will complete one cycle. Okay. So I will have something like this here. Along the m direction, it is 0, nothing is there. But along the n direction, again it is completing one cycle. Okay, the height should have been appropriate, but it's okay. Now if I say that this is 2O2, if I have 2O2, means it will complete like this, and here also it will be like this. So how many cycles are completed in a particular direction? Okay. So now depending upon the mode, you can choose any mode. It could have been something else also. It could have been 1 1 1. Then accordingly the modes would propagate. Okay. But you will remember, because we are considering TE mode, so along the direction of propagation, only the electric field component will be 0. If I am considering propagation along x direction, then Ex will be 0, but Ey and Ez will depend upon the distribution or on the x component also. Okay, Ey, Ez will depend upon Hx. All these, when you solve del cross H or del cross E curl equations, you get 6 components, isn't it? Now you are setting one component out of it 0, and we know that all these equations are coupled equations. So it means even if I say Ex is 0, still my Ey and Ez will depend upon Hx. Okay. So it means although we are considering a TE mode in which one component, depending upon whether it is TE and electric field, will be 0, but still other parameters will depend upon the coordinates of the direction of propagation. Okay. So we will do in detail, we will do the calculation of cavity resonator in rectangular cross section in detail tomorrow, because it will require more time. Okay. So that's all.